You're listening to Sweet Bites with Sandra with your host, Sandra Colton-Medici. Tune in every Thursday to satisfy your entrepreneurial sweet tooth. Follow on Instagram at Sweet Bites with Sandra Podcast and Sandra Colton-Medici. You can also join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Sweet Bites with Sandra. Hi, I'm Sandra, and I'd like to invite you to subscribe and listen to my new podcast, Sweet Bites with Sandra. Satisfy your entrepreneurial sweet tooth in each episode, full of digital business tips, inspiring interviews, asides from my entertainment career, and rewards to celebrate your sweet success. Find Sweet Bites with Sandra on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Welcome back to Sweet Bites with Sandra. I am so excited to bring you my special guest. Her name is Chelsea Traille. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. Well, so let me tell you a little bit about Chelsea. So I met her way back in the day. She is best known for being on So You Think You Can Dance as an amazing, accomplished dancer. I know she's making a face right now. You can't see this if you're listening on the podcast, but she is so humble. But she has so much skills. You saw her on Burlesque, the movie, and so many things in between. But right now, she has shifted her game. She has shifted into what she is calling CST Global Worldwide Domination. I'm adding that to it.
For the record, I'm not calling it domination, but yeah.
Okay, so she's calling it CST Global or CST
Yes.
International, and it stands for your name, correct?
Well, it's a funny play on words. Well, I can get into that a little bit, but I'll explain. Well, we know that acronym because it's also Central Standard Time, which is where I'm at right now. I'm in Texas visiting my family home, visiting my parents during COVID. I think we're all kind of realizing how important it is to be around family. And it was actually something my dad thought of, and I thought it was brilliant because for the better part of a year, the better part of a year and a half, I moved from Hollywood, where we met, to Germany.
Oh, right. I thought it was Greece. It's Germany. Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Germany. It's Stuttgart, Germany, which is in the southwest. It's the 6th largest city. It's 2 hours west of Munich, 2 hours north of Zurich, Switzerland. So it's in a really great spot. It's a 4-hour drive from Paris. So, yes. I mean, I don't think you could be better placed. But yeah, obviously there's other great cities. So yeah.
Why Germany? I have to interrupt you and just be like, why? Okay, so you go from Hollywood to Germany, and you just were like, one day woke up and were like, I'm doing it.
It goes back even further. The idea didn't come to really there. You know, I love the positivity vibes that you've always had. You've always been so elegant, so kind, and even though you're beautiful, because a lot of people say, I mean, it's an even though you're beautiful, you've always had a really tender heart and tender spirit. So the minute you wrote me and asked me to join this podcast, I was like, there's not even a hesitation. You know what I mean? So you should know that about yourself, that's the legacy that you left in our industry. And it's law of attraction, right, Sandra? You know about
exactly.
That.
Yeah.
And that's, so it goes back even further. I'm the youngest daughter of a Jamaican family. My parents both being Jamaican and my oldest brother. And I was born and raised in Texas, going to Jamaica every summer. A lot of Jamaicans are here in Texas. Why Texas? That's for another podcast. But it's basically like a state with a lot of opportunity. It's extremely diverse, people from all over the world, Indians, Persians, Caribbean, Africans, and everything in between, a lot of Hispanic and African American. But it was that you could have anything you want if you work hard, if you put in the time. And when I was 15, we went to Europe for the first time. So it was Jamaica every summer. And then for the first time, we went to Europe. Nice. And it was Barcelona, London, Paris, and Munich. And It blew my mind.
Yes.
It blew my mind, because I was like, for lack of a better word, treated like a goddess there. Like men were falling over themselves. And I mean, obviously that is not the experience I had in Texas.
If
Not
you're
a bad experience, but
if you're listening
wildly
to the
different.
podcast, I'm totally interrupting you. She is gorgeous. If you are watching the video on another platform, then you are already know. But if you're listening, I'm just going to detail what you're wearing right now, just because I adore you and I love your fashion sense. And we're going to get back to your story in just a second. But she's got this lovely black hat on that is giving you just fashion glory days. The eyeliner, the makeup, the hair, everything is on point. She always has a really great lip gloss going, and right now is kind of like a pink satin gloss sheeny thing going. Kiss the glass. And then she's got polka dots with a very little accent piece, and she's going to talk about that later, but it's like a little locket thing that she's got going. But
Their initial.
their initials.
Well, it kind of goes into what I'm saying. My parents have blown my mind, fully changed my life. I'm so grateful that they were so open-minded and culturally conscious. That's a great way to say it, culturally conscious. That's a big part of why I love dance, why I love piano and the arts. And this is their initials, actually.
Oh.
There's a B for my dad, Barrington,
Uh-huh.
and an M for my mother, Marlene.
Nice.
And I'm not married. I don't have children. So these are my heroes. These are the loves of my lives are my parents. And I'm grateful that I do have that relationship. They exposed me to the world, and I knew one day I would always live in Europe. But you know as well as I know, when you're in LA and you're hustling and you're grinding, you can get stuck in that hamster wheel, awaiting those dreams to be realized for decades.
Yes.
If you don't step out and really take charge of your own journey, you will be in rotation there. And it's cyclical, that whole experience, right? Can you relate?
Yes, indeed.
Can you relate? Where are you now? I mean, just like, where are you broadcasting
so
from?
I'm in LA, and so I'm a little bit east of Hollywood, and I totally understand. It's basically the entertainment calendar. You know, you go through the music video,
It is
the film, the TV, the pilot,
the live tour,
the
the
live
pilot
tour,
season,
the music video, and then you're like, oh, I'll do my own little side project, and then you're back in the hamster wheel again. The commercial.
Your side project lasts as long as the agents don't call you.
Right, exactly. And then maybe you do a little thing in Vegas. Maybe there's a little show in Vegas. Maybe a little, something.
Did that.
Yeah.
Yep. Did that. Yeah. And so the thing is that as fun as that sounds on paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
It dictates your world. I can't get over all the anniversaries I've missed, the births, the unfortunate funerals, the weddings, the trips overseas. So I had made a choice in about 2015 that I was on tour. I was on tour with Kanye. I did a couple tours with him, and I was like, this is fun. It's good money, but there is definitely a ceiling here. There's nowhere to grow. I'm never going to be the artist. I'm never going to date the artist. So it's like, where you go from here? It's always going to be about someone else unless you make it be about you and you go and step into your own role. And my vehicle for that was Airbnb, actually.
Oh, okay.
Airbnb was a game changer for me because I had a very eclectic sense of style. Well, when you are exposed to all these different movie sets and live shows and all these eccentric artists and set decorators, you kind of absorb this eye. And I did, and I could make cool apartments, but I was on the road for a while, and then I started renting out my apartment. I had permission, and that earned me so much income cushion that I knew that I needed to stick with this, and that this was going to be the door that would open so that I could create my own thing. And it was leveraging my empty apartment in Hollywood. And then I turned that business into multiple apartments in Hollywood in 2017, all by myself with a silent partner from Vegas, who I met when I was there doing a show one time. And he was like, I'm going to invest in you.
Nice.
And we got these apartments, and I was like a tornado, and I stepped out of the dance industry a bit more. And it was great money, but I had no time, totally time poor. And then I decided, okay, I can expand and stay here in LA and know that I'll be here for the next decade doing this.
Yes.
Or I can downsize, keep this little piece of pie going, and leapfrog to somewhere I really want to be, the next place I really want to be. And I chose the latter, and I terminated the partnership, kept the place going, and I ran it from Germany. And I ended up moving to Germany because it is like a little mini United States in a weird way. And some people might not like me saying that, but it's wildly diverse, and it's the strongest EU country within the European Union. So as a single Black entrepreneur female, I wanted to go somewhere that I was going to be most stable, from an economic standpoint. And that was Germany. That is Germany. There's no way around that. No one can deny that.
Yeah. Well, and you're here for a little bit. We just have a little piece of you while you're here for, to visit your family, and you're going back rather soon, right?
Well, I still have my apartment there. I mean, I've set up my life there. I was there for a year, but they're actually just going back down into a lockdown.
Oh my gosh.
It's brutal. So I spent my first 3-month lockdown there. I'd already been there almost. So I'm in my second year. I'm in my second lease. So this was back in March, April, May, June was my lockdown time, and then it started opening up in late May. And I just was like, I miss my family like crazy. My mom, my dad, we had lost some friends during this whole nightmare to death. Unfortunately, they were asleep in death, and I was really worried about my parents and how they were feeling about everything, and just wanted to come and be close. So I came in June, and there's not really anything to rush back to. So I'm gonna rent my place out there, and I have been working like I'm not a crazy person, but in a good way. And so that there has come then the transition into my dad and our business now is blossoming into this bigger thing.
Well, and I saw on IG, which I follow you on IG, and I just love all of what you're doing. And I comment because I love your style. I think some of the comments that I said, I was like, you need to sell these jumpers. Yes.
Right. No, you know what? I've gotten that. So what she's talking about is I am a self-taught interior designer, but it's blossomed into contracting. So I'm a former dancer. We would be considered pretty girls, but I know how to wield saws and power tools and drills and sledgehammers and concrete smashers and wheelbarrows. And now I'm as weird as that sounds, it gives me an idea how quickly jobs can be done and how they should be done, because I also know how to do them myself. And it's really fun to take contractors by surprise when you start speaking their language in terms of construction. And great construction means great design, so they go hand in hand. Yeah. So they really do go hand in hand.
And while you've been home, I saw some demo on your social media where your parents' house, where you're like, I think I'll just hammer away a little bit. Like, what?
Yeah. So there's 4 bathrooms in my family home. So this house here is 21 years old. It's had a little bit of remodeling downstairs, but the upstairs and some of the other places I've done have not been touched in a decade plus. Okay. So I've redone 2 rooms aesthetically. I've renovated 1 bathroom completely, the bathroom that I'm living out of, and then the downstairs guest bathroom. And my dad's office. I've cleaned out both attics. Okay, so this was a major undertaking because this was about 100-degree weather.
Oh my. And
a 3-car garage, and removed all the junk from the house. And I did all that in like 60 days. It was crazy. And we are 5 weeks into our first house flip somewhere else now. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You
cool.
are a force.
It's been 4 months, and now I'm on my second home renovation. So
nice.
This is like a full gut. I mean, we've gutted the kitchen and the bathroom, and we're redoing the floors, the walls, the lights, everything. And then yeah.
So when you think about what you were doing and now what you
Yeah.
are doing. I mean, some of it I feel like is the same. You were an
Yes.
artist before, right?
You
And
get it. You get it.
yes, it's
You
just a
get that.
different, it's a different language. It might be different tools. But there are a lot of people that might be listening to this podcast who don't know how to, in my sense, this is what I feel like you are doing is a little bit of reinvention
Yeah.
for your branding, so that
Hmm.
people don't just know you as a dancer or a
Right.
performer. But some of the other part of what you're doing is transitioning your skills from the performance space before, because now I feel like you could host your own TV show, you know, whether it's a flip this house or a, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you are good on camera and you have all
Thanks, girl.
these other skills. Yeah. And so it's kind of just a pivot, but it's not a full, you know, 180. It's like taking that and
No,
just
it's not. Right.
morphing it,
Well,
right?
exactly. I mean, Sandra is a storyteller. I know you're a storyteller. I see you. I mean, if you're watching this and you see all the gestures, she speaks my language. We are gesture, facial expressions, full teeth smile, you know, bubbly, all this stuff. And really what that comes down to is those are the essential elements to good storytelling. When you're a wardrobe stylist, you're telling a story. When you're a set decorator, you're telling a story, a producer, director, actor,
Hmm.
musician, live performance, interior designer, and then you
Right.
get into construction. So they're the elements behind these things, that right brain hyperactivity, it's the same world.
Hmm.
And I realized that there was this choreographer, her name escapes me, but she makes the sickest live shows. But her live shows included a lot of elements. It'd always be some constructural um, maneuvering to make the dancers always look like they're in another world. The costumes were always crazy, the movement, and so that included the lights and the set. And her brain, I'm like, wow, whatever. If she ever like made a house or like an amusement park or something, like it would be so wild. But she would sometimes, she's actually called me to help with costumes. I've done makeup for different productions. I've built green screens for music videos. And this is all I did a music video with Paula Abdul for breast cancer awareness, and her stylist quit on the day before the second shoot. And all the dancers were like, well, Chelsea Traille's weird. She probably can help us. And I got all these, like, I got all this emergency phone calls at 9 o'clock at night. And I was like, yeah. And I showed up to Paula's house in West Hollywood or in West LA. And she gave me her credit card. And we went to Target, and the only Target that was open. And we bought all this stuff. And it was basically a Bollywood themed vignette that I
Uh-huh.
had to create from from all this lot of Target stuff. And we did, from painting to glitter to fuchsia, and it was all this breast cancer awareness color. And I pretty much realized that it doesn't matter what the ingredients are that you can give me, I
Hmm.
can make it happen.
Hmm.
And that is not about what you know. That is more than anything about mindset.
Hmm.
That's more than anything about mindset. If you realize if it's been done, it can be done.
Hmm.
There's really nothing standing in your way. I mean, other than money and knowledge. But with those things, if you have the funds and you have the knowledge, then it's just ego. It's just you moving on that action.
Yeah.
So call to action. So I don't have a problem answering call to action. But but the older you get, the more fear sets in sometimes, and the more fear of failure, I should say.
Hmm.
um, but the biggest difference between being a artist in front of the camera and doing more production, because I actually consider what I'm doing production,
Hmm.
um, is that I'm doing it for other people, doing it for someone else. I get the
Yeah.
satisfaction of doing it for someone else.
Hmm.
Preparing someone's home or space or apartment gives me great joy. Gives me great joy.
So
Yeah.
what do you think is something that, because I know that really boils down to confidence, like inner self confidence. So where do you get that level of confidence? Because I know that as you know, a former entertainer, you get hurt, you know, the no's come way more than the yeses.
Oh
And
yes.
my mom has said to me before, like, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you keep going to these auditions because they keep telling you no. And then that one yes is like, yeah, you're on a high for a little bit. So for every industry, it
Yeah.
is, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to frame that day. Right.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm like, that.
yeah. And
Go.
so when you're thinking about this completely different kind of aspect of your career, you still have to have that confidence to go into whatever meeting it is and know that you are going to kill it. So where do you get that from?
Um, okay. I don't go nuts on this, but self-love is huge. Now,
Mhm.
I think that the world has turned self-love into this slightly arrogant place. Self-love coupled with humility. So I know my limitations. I accept my limitations.
Mhm.
But you and I both know, and anyone that comes from that world or that industry, and your mother would obviously know this well,
Mhm.
is that growth really does come from failure. Because when you
Mhm.
get told no or get doors slammed in your face, which we've all had,
Yes.
and I have an underdog background. I was not like the star performer from my dance school. I was the lower rung where they didn't really think that I had any future in entertainment. Yeah, it's true.
My
And
goodness.
it's just self-belief, self-love. Yes, being humble,
Mhm.
because in order to grow, you can't think you have everything. You have to be honest about what you lack.
Yeah.
And I lacked a lot, and I still lack things. I will always lack things, but I know the margin of error, or the margin between that and success. I have control to fill that with knowledge and time and practice.
Mhm.
And I give my best. That's the one thing I can say that helps me at least eliminate error. You
Mhm.
know, I have put drills through my fingers. I've broken things. I've fallen off backwards off ladders. I mean, I've 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 ruined gutters with moving trucks. I mean, these things you think aren't, they stack up against you. Um, I've had to move 7 couches into a moving truck by myself. No one shut up, and I had to get them out of the storage space. And I like dislocated a rib.
Oh my goodness. Oh
I
my
mean, so
goodness.
yes, the more you bite off, the more you are vulnerable,
Mhm.
but the more opportunity you're giving yourself to win. You can't win if you always play it safe in this tiny little margin, right? So the
Exactly.
more you put on your plate and really go after it consistently, you are going to get the yeses. You are going to get the wins. Um, and I do believe in speaking about the things you enjoy, speaking about it openly, not like the things you quote unquote will do, but
Mhm.
are doing. I'm not like a designer. I don't like to design. I am a designer. I am an interior designer. What's the difference between someone who went to school and never made a check from it and me who gets paid for it for a living? Uh, Nothing. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I get paid for it for a living, and it's my job, and I love it, and I've got, but I have a business degree. I do have a degree in business marketing, um, which, if we're honest, may have been a colossal waste of money. A couple tens of thousands of waste of money, but it did teach me some operating things in terms of business,
Yeah.
which we all need to be
Yeah.
entrepreneur. But
Yeah.
what do you think? You're an entrepreneur. What do you think is one of the secrets of entrepreneurialism? Entrepreneurialism.
Well, for me, the biggest thing that I always say is no matter what, you have to have an idea. And if you don't have an idea of what you want to do, then you can't go after that. And so it really is about having vision and what you were talking about, like speaking it out into the ether. I think that if you talk about with your friends, your family, whoever is your closest confidant, what you want to do, you will figure out what that idea is of what you want to do and be.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you don't have an idea, that's when you get the most stuck, is because you're not acting on something that's going to get you to a goal. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with that
It's the plan.
vision, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have great ideas and they don't know how to figure out how to get them to do something, but you still have to start with an idea. You know what I mean? So
You got to
that's kind of,
start.
yeah, exactly. So, ay, ay,
That's a
ay.
that's a good one. I mean, the idea is great. And I think it's confidence too. But
Hmm.
the thing is we are in a extremely connected world. There is not any corner of the planet that's disconnected really anymore. You can get Wi-Fi in the Amazon, or in the corners of Africa, you can get
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. So
Yeah.
if it's about skills, about learning, where I learned a lot of my skill in construction were from the employees at Home Depot. I mean, I did hours and hours and hours and hours of research and hands-on experience. And I would solicit people who I felt like had experience, meant good mentorship.
Hmm.
And I would do what it took to join their team so that I could see it firsthand. And I always assist. Usually, I always assist my contractor so that I'm working with an experienced person. But now it's a little bit different. Now I am really stepping more into the entrepreneur role
Hmm.
instead of the laborer role or just the manager,
Hmm.
so that I can use more my time a little smarter. But it's a plan and it's the action, and you cannot be afraid of making a mistake. That's the best advice I can give you. Fear
Yeah,
of failure will just hold you back. It will just hold you
definitely.
back.
Every time.
Everyone
Wow.
laughed. Yeah. But now,
And now look, right?
yeah, yeah,
You're doing
yeah,
it. Well, so
yeah.
where do you live, either on social or on a website? Where should people
Well,
find
my
you?
name, I'm fortunate with my name. I haven't found another Chelsea Trail. I think there's probably one out there, but on my socials, it's just my name. And my last name is spelled like Braille with a T. It's Traille. And it's Chelsea Trail, Chelsea with a E at the end, Chelsea Trail. So that's my name on Instagram. I do a lot of stories, like Sandra said, of my building projects. And I do love to travel, and I try to see the aesthetic beauty of wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. Um, I'm very social. I love people. I love children. Yeah, and that's it. Just trying to add joy and love and life everywhere I can, to everyone I can.
Nice.
You
Wow.
know.
I hope that you visit her on her social, Chelsea Trail on IG, because she is stunning in all of what she does. And I know that in the future, I'm going to see you on some sort of like HGTV or home special or home, what is that? Improvement show where they do the 7-day turnaround of the houses. And that's
I
where
mean, that's where I first developed my obsession, was trading spaces.
there you go,
Back,
Trading
back,
Spaces. I
back,
love
back
that
when.
show.
I
Hmm.
know.
Well,
Yeah.
I hope that your family stays safe and healthy, you as well. And there's so
Yeah.
much more that we're going to talk with Chelsea about, because she has agreed to stick around for Extra Bites. So make sure you finish out this episode of Sweet Bites with Sandra, and we will see her on Extra Bite on the blog. Thank you so much, Chelsea.
Bye. Thanks for having me.